All right, like I said, this should not be brand new to you. This should you should at least recognize it, whether or not you remember exactly how to do it. But I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. Okay, I'm not just saying, well, you should have known this from geometry. Here's the test. All right, that's not what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm just trying to refresh your memory and saying, oh yeah, we did do this stuff. All right, that kind of thing. So when I say that you did it in this certain class, that certain class, I'm still going to teach it to you. So. Because it's right here. I'm going to start off right with an example, okay? And it says, write an equation. It'll probably take me longer to write this problem out than it will to do it. But write an equation. Equation of a line, I guess you should say. I just shortened it in slope-intercept form. All right? And it's important to make sure you read the problem and you put it into the correct form, because we are going to learn several different forms, at least 3 I can think of, that we're going to write the equation in, okay? What's the first, well, we did slope-intercept already, so that's already up there, but what was the one, it was like real, I almost said the word, like ax plus by, standard form or general form, okay? Kind of the same thing, depends on who teaches it, on how they say it. But the standard form or general form, so that's that ax plus by equals c, or plus c equals 0. And the slope-intercept form, which is y equals what? Mx plus b, right? That should be just locked into your brain forever. Slope-intercept form for each described. I'm not going to write that, okay? And then, so here we go. So here's what they give you. They give you some information, and you got to write the equation in slope-intercept form. You just said it, so we want our answer to look like this. Okay? And I don't think on these they asked you to graph it, but you know that they could very well ask you to graph these things, but you don't really need to graph it. We just want to put it into this form. So they give you the slope. Oh, they make this super easy. This is too easy. I agree with you. It is too easy. They give you the slope and they give you the y-intercept. I mean, they're just handing it to you. All right, so here we go. So they give you the slope. We're starting off super easy right now. It'll eventually get a little bit more interesting, okay? But they give you the slope. They give you the y-intercept. So that means, what do? There's the slope. There's the y-intercept, and you just put them in there. The x and the y just stays x and y. So y equals m. What's m? Negative 3/4. And then x, you just put the x there. And then the b. What's the b? 7. That's the y-intercept, right? And it's plus. Put a plus 7, since it's a positive. If this was negative 7, you'd put minus 7. All right? It's as easy as that. At least that one is. But that's the first one. First ones are always easy, right? It seems like it. All right, let's do another one. Yeah, let's just do this. I was going to say something, but I'll say it during this thing. So this time they give you a slope again, so that's nice of them. This time it's negative 6. And it says it passes through, I'm going to write that, I'm going to put a comma, and the line, okay, the line that we're trying to write the equation of, right? You know, it's going to be a straight line. It passes through a certain point. Passes through. It doesn't mean it goes through the y-intercept. It doesn't say it's the y-intercept, but it goes through some, not random point, but some point that lies on the line. Okay, and that point is 1, negative 3. All right, it passes through the point 1, negative 3. All right. And so what do I got to do? Well, I know the slope. You got to find the y-intercept. That's right. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to write down the slope-intercept form again. So y equals mx plus b. I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but I will right now. So that x and y. Remember how on that last one I said just keep it x and y? Well, the x and y represents something. It does. Okay. All 4 of these letters represent something. You already know m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. But what about this x and this y? What is true about this x and this y? This represents any point, not just any point in general, but any point where? On the line. On that particular line that we're doing. Okay, this line right here with that information. So that's the point on the line. So that's really important that you understand that. So that x and y, you can write it as an ordered pair that represents any point on the line. Well, in the problem that they gave us, did they give us a point on the line? Yeah, absolutely. They gave us one. They gave us an x and a y. So what is the x? 1, right? And what is the y? It's -3. So that's our x and y. Does that make sense? So now what we're going to do, we're going to write y equals mx plus b. And what I'm going to do is plug the stuff in. Do I know the y? With this information, here's the information I know. I know this and I know this. So I'm going to write it as the slope-intercept form. So do I know a y? It's -3. Very good. This is my x and y right here. Okay, this is an x. That's my y. I wrote it down here. All right, so instead of y, what do we put in? -3 equals the slope. Did they tell us the slope? -6. What's that -6 doing to that x? It's multiplying. So do I know the x? What is it? What's the x? Just what's the x? It's 1. Well, this is harder than the first one. All right. Plus the y-intercept. Do I know the y-intercept just by looking at any of this information that they gave us? I don't know the y-intercept. So what am I going to make it? B. And then I'm going to solve for what? For b. That's right. Okay. I'm going to solve for the y-intercept. I already know the slope. It's -6, correct? All I got to do now is find the y-intercept. So let's do the math. So that's -3 equals -6 plus b. Add a 6. Add a 6. B is what? 3. So now, do I just circle that? Is that my answer? B is 3? No. I want to find this right here. Okay? The slope-intercept form of that line. So what am I going to start with? Y equals -6. -6 what? X. And then what? Yeah, this is a +3, so I put +3. So that is the answer. So if I were, I'm not going to do it, but if I were to plot that line right there, if I was going to graph that line, guess what point actually lies on this line? 1, -3. 1, -3 lies on that line. So if I graph this, put the y-intercept at 3, did the slope, -6 over 1, boom, made my line, all right? If I look at that line, 1, -3 would lie right on that line, all right? It would be a point on the line. Yeah. You thinking of your question, or? Okay. Does that make sense? So that's your answer right there, because the question was what? To write an equation in slope-intercept form. All right, so that's my equation of the line right there. And it's in slope-intercept form. We good? What's that? I got paper towel. That's all I got. I got to get some tissues. Or you guys could bring in tissues for me if you wanted to.
That's first period.
I know, but I got 5 people in my first period class. Yeah, no, my first period kids brought any tissues in.
Well, technically my first period.
Yeah. Did you bring tissues to them? Oh, see, you did? Well, go steal them back and give them to me. All right. Let's do one more thing, okay? We got another form. I said there were going to be 3 forms that we're going to do, okay? We talked about 2, the slope-intercept form. What was the other one we mentioned just briefly? This general or standard form, which is ax plus by plus c equals 0. We got another one, but I'm going to show you where the other one comes from, and it basically just comes, listen, it basically just comes from the definition of the slope. Do you remember what the definition of a slope was? People say rise over run. That's true, but it's not really a definition. Yeah, very good. Y1. Now, we're going to do this. I'm going to go y minus y1. Is that all right? Just because of the way that I want to write this equation. So I could go y1 minus y2, or I could go y2 minus y1. Yeah? Remember that, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, so I could do that, but this time I'm just going to go y minus y1. It just means to find the slope, you subtract the y values, right? And then you put it over what?
X minus x1.
Yeah, this would be x minus x1. I'm writing it like this because of... I'll show it to you in a second. So I'm going to show you how this works out. So what they're basically giving you, if you have an x and a y, that's 1 point on the line, isn't it? Right? Because if I'm subtracting these from each other, right, then they've got to be points on the line. All right, so xy is a point. What's another point on that line? Yeah, x1, y1. That would be another point on the line. So look what I have. So they give me 2 points, right? So these are points on the line. And what does it equal? It equals the what? The slope. So we call this the point slope form. Point slope form. That's our third one, okay? We got the general form or standard form, whatever you want to call it, and then we got the slope-intercept form, all right? And now we got the point-slope form. I haven't really given it to you yet. I haven't given you the equation just yet. We are going to, we're going to figure it out. I'll put it right here. And it's pretty easy because all we're going to do is solve for y minus y1. We're not even going to just solve for y. We're just solving for y minus y1. It's one step and you're basically done. So what did I say we're going to solve for? Y minus y1. So y minus y1 equals, how do I get rid of this stuff? I multiply because it's being divided, right? It's being divided, so I multiply both sides by this thing right here. But I'm going to keep the m out in front, so what's it going to be? M times what? X minus x1, and that's it. Told you it was easy, and it came directly from the equation for slope. This right here is the what? Point slope form. So when they give you a point on the line and they give you a slope, instead of going through all this and solving for the y-intercept, you could just do this and put it into this formula right here. Okay? So let's do that problem that we did just earlier. I'll give you another one, but let's do the one we just finished doing and see if we actually get the same thing. So what did we say the slope was for that other problem that we just finished doing?
3.
Wasn't that, was it? Wasn't it negative 6? Negative 6. And what was the point that they gave us? Was it 1, negative 3 or something like that? 1, negative 3? Okay. All right, have fun, girls. You're taking the quiz tomorrow. I don't care what you got going on. You're taking the quiz tomorrow. All right, so it's 1, negative 3. So look what they give us. What's that 1, negative 3? That's not my y-intercept. It's just a point on my line. Well, I got an equation that uses what? A point, right? And they give me a point on the line, so that's a good start. And they give me the slope. Well, the name of this thing is called the what? The point slope form, okay? So this is perfect. This is a perfect thing to use, okay, to find. So what am I going to put? Now, y minus y1. Remember, the x1 and the y1 is this point that they give me. So that's an x1 and that's a y1. I'm just going to keep that y. I'm just going to keep it y. I'm going to keep that x right there. I'm just going to keep it x, all right? But I am going to fill in the other stuff. So y minus y1. So it's going to be what? Y minus
3.
minus negative 3. So it will be plus. Okay, we'll do that in a second. So it's y minus negative 3. Everybody see that? That's my y1. I just stuck it in. That's all I did. Equals m, which is negative 6. And then we just keep the x. And then we replace this x1 with a 1. Okay? Now what they normally do is this. Normally they don't say put it in point slope form. Okay? We use the point slope form to normally put it into slope intercept form. All right? So normally we wouldn't just leave it like this. That looks kind of ugly. Doesn't really tell us a whole lot about it. Tells us a point, tells us a slope. But, and you could graph it from this, all right? If all you had was y plus 3 equals negative 6, x minus 1, could you graph it directly from that answer right there?
No. Yeah.
We should be able to. Because this would be, 1 would be your x, negative 3, because remember what this equation is, y minus, right? So negative 3 would be your y. You could plot that point, and then you could take the slope from there, and then you would get that equation. But normally you wouldn't do that. Normally they would do this. Normally they want it in slope-intercept form. That's the favorite. It's everybody's favorite, slope-intercept form. You can do a lot with it. So let's take this and put it into slope-intercept form, because that's the way they ask you most of the time to write your equations, okay? So what can we do? Let's just go y plus 3 first, because what am I going to do with that negative 6? Distribute, good. So negative, I'm going to distribute the negative 6, because all I'm doing is multiplying this together. So negative 6x, what? Plus 6. Remember what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to put it in a slope-intercept form, which is what? Y equals. So I want to get y by itself, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, subtract a 3. And then y equals negative 6x plus 3. Isn't that the same? Isn't that the same thing as we got right there? Yeah. But I think this way was a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit easier, because on this one, I had to plug everything in. I had to know that that was my x and my y, and then you got the y-intercept, and then you had to, well, then you're basically done. Okay, you had your slope and you got your y-intercept. You just put it here. It's really not a whole lot of, what am I trying to say? It's not much less work. Is that what I'm trying to say? Than it was before. But it's another way of doing it. Okay, so we just put the numbers in here and then just solve for y. I mean, I showed like every little step. At this point in our math career, I know I harped on it. I never taught you Algebra 1, but if I did, or even Algebra 2, I would harp on showing all your steps. I did in geometry from time to time, but there's some things you could leave out, right? As long as you just get the answer, you put some stuff in, you could kind of do that distributive thing maybe in your head, maybe subtracting and dividing and all that kind of thing. But there you go. You get the same exact answer as we did before. We just got it with a little bit of a different way. All right? Let's do the example they give for real, and then I'll be finished. So this is, I didn't even write down the example number. I don't even know what it is. Is it 2 or 3? I don't know. I'll just write example. Normally I put the example number, but I didn't on this one. This time they tell you the slope is 1/4, and they tell you it passes through a point 3, negative 4. And what do they want? They want the equation of a line. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it into slope-intercept form. But I want to use that point-slope form. I want to use that. All right, so I'm not going to put it directly into slope-intercept form. I want to use the point-slope form. So what is it again? Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So let's put everything in here. What is this 3 with these bunch of numbers? What is the 3? That's my x what? My x1. And my negative 4 is my y1. So basically, I'm just going to chuck 3 things into this and then get y by itself. It's that easy. All right? Do you see why this could be a little bit more useful than doing it the other way? Yes? No? Maybe? I think it's a tad easier. It's not much. Just a little bit. All right? So watch. Y minus y1. So y minus, what's my y1? Negative 4. So that's going to be a what? Plus 4. Okay? Equals m, which is 1/4. And then x minus x1, which is 3. Okay? What would you do first? I wouldn't get rid of that 4 yet.
Distribute the 1/4.
Yeah, I would distribute the 1/4, so I get 1/4 x minus what? 3/4. Wasn't bad, right? Now, in the same step, I'm not going to bring everything down or anything like that. I'm just going to go minus 4. If I subtract a 4 here, it goes. Now watch this. Now this is something that I probably wouldn't do if I was teaching an Algebra 1 class, but if it was Algebra 2 or Pre-Calc, you should be okay with this. If I subtract a 4, look at my denominators here. They're all 4s. So what would it be? Minus what? No. 1/4 is 4/4 is a 1. 1/4 is 16/4. Because that's a 4, isn't it? I just rewrote the number 4 with a denominator of 4. Yeah, because 16/4 is 4. Yeah? You got to get used to seeing stuff like that. Y equals, let's put the x first, so it's 1/4 x. Let's do this. It's negative 3/4 minus 16/4, which is what? Minus 19. Because you add the opposite, right? Add the opposite. It's fine, just like that. Okay, now if you were to graph it, you'd probably want a mixed number. Okay, I'll put an or. If all they do is just ask for the equation of the line, I'm perfectly fine with a improper fraction. As long as it's reduced, right? Is 19/4 reduced? Does anything go into 19 and 4? 4 doesn't go into 19 evenly, right? 3 doesn't go into 4. 3 doesn't go into 19. 3 doesn't go into 19. 19's prime. Okay? All right. So you could, if you wanted to graph it, I mean, you don't know what 19/4 is, right? So you would change it to a mixed number, all right? So that's what I'm going to do. So that's why I put or. So how many times does 4, not evenly, but how many times does 4 go into that? 4 times 6, so that's what? So that would be 4 and what? 3/4. So if you were to graph it, yeah, absolutely, you would put 4 and 3/4, okay? You could always just put that into a calculator and figure out what it is, but if you don't need the calculator, don't use it. So if you were to graph it, yeah, that's where you would put the y-intercept, right? What do you think? This is familiar at least, right? Isn't it familiar? Yeah, point slope form. We did it in geometry 2 years ago. You don't remember 2 years ago? Of course not. I don't blame you. I barely remember what I did yesterday. 2 years ago. It's hard to remember. But that's why we taught it today. I basically taught it from scratch. So hopefully, did you guys do that? Did you do that, like graphing straight lines in Algebra 2 and slope-intercept form and all that stuff?
So
You didn't?
I think we got to chapter 6.
Yeah, that should have been chapter like 1 or 2. I don't know. Seems like. I don't know. I'm teaching Algebra 2 right now, and I don't think we've done the slope stuff yet. But I don't know. I haven't taught it out of this book, but usually that's pretty early on, especially if it was Algebra 2. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I just taught it to you now, right? So that's all that matters. So now you know how to do it. So here's your homework. It's section 1-4, okay, and it's page 30.
Oh wait, are you giving us time to start?
Yeah. You got 20 minutes. Yeah, do not use this time to just sit around. Oh, we got 20 minutes. We just sit around and talk. No, you're grown-ups now, okay? You're in honors pre-calculus, for goodness sakes. Just the word pre-calculus gives me shivers up the spine, doesn't it, you?
Yeah.
Right? Don't worry, we're not going to be doing like real calculus in here. Okay, we're just trying to lay the groundwork mathematically to be able to do and understand some things that you're going to do in calculus. All right? So even though it says pre-calc, it's more pre than anything. All right? More pre than calculus. Yeah, that was the first time I ever took it. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so that's it. It's all of them. It's only 11:22. It's only 12 problems. Okay, that's enough. Get that done, and that's due tomorrow.